Monsanto's disgusting, dirty deeds are starting to come to light as both lawsuits and leaks are revealing the company's worst behavior. They've gone after journalists, activists, and even concerned parents in order to protect their ugly profits. I have Farron Cousins from the Trial Lawyer magazine here to tell us what's happening. This story, you know, I feel like sometimes we do a lot of Monsanto stories, but the truth is they're outrageous. I mean, the conduct of Bayer and Monsanto has crossed the lines. Tell us this story.
Well, this one is particularly disturbing because you had this group, Moms Across America. And all the way back in 2013, they sent a letter, a very nice, actually, letter to Monsanto, just basically saying, hey, studies are showing that glyphosate in Roundup is causing cancer. It's linked to actually a whole host of different diseases. Would you please consider not using it anymore until you can guarantee the safety? And that actually prompted one Monsanto scientist to email one of his colleagues and basically say, listen, I sure wish we could slap the heck out of these parents, but of course we don't want to be seen as attacking parents. That's what he said in the email.
Let me this guy is Dr. Daniel Goldstein. That's who this character is, okay? He is a biostitute. Now, a lot of people don't understand when I use the term biostitute. We originated the term, and what it means is a scientist or a medical professional or somebody who's willing to create phony literature, lies, willing to put their name on the bottom of whatever kind of lies they're asked to do by Monsanto. Now, Dr. Daniel Goldstein is the guy who is willing to do that. Dr. Daniel Goldstein is the guy who wrote the memo, hey, maybe we ought to just start roughing these people up. I mean, that's basically what he's saying. And so the way now understand, these are the people who brought us DDT, PCB, Agent Orange, and a half a dozen other chemicals that will kill you.
Yeah.
And each time they fought the same way. In DDT, they hired people like Goldstein. They didn't hire him, but they hired people like Goldstein to tell lies about the safety of DDT. They did it with PCBs. They did it with Agent Orange. They always have these people out there who will do anything you ask them to do if you pay them money. And so in this situation, this biostitute and the guys surrounding Dr. Goldstein say, hey, we're just going to go after these women who are just moms. They're moms that are mad about this product killing people.
Right. I mean, that was the big crime of Moms Across America was we don't want our kids to be poisoned. But apparently that was too much for Monsanto. They were not happy about this. And here's the thing we're also finding out from these documents that are coming out from the trials that have happened, the pre-trial that's going on. These have all been released to the public, available for everybody. But we're finding out it wasn't just this Moms Across America group, which it's disgusting enough that he said we should slap the, expletive out of them. But you go on to find out that they've been doing it to journalists. Carrie Gillum, who has been phenomenal. Yeah, and she has been amazing on this issue, one of the best.
Right.
They've been going after her for 4 or 5 years now.
Through Fusion. Tell us about Fusion. Fusion is its own organization, and what it is, they're hitmen.
Yeah.
They're hitmen. They're scientific hitmen who go after journalists. They go after scientists who disagree with them. They try to get the people fired from their job. They try to discredit the science that they create. They even had these people followed, had private investigators following these people to try to build a file on them.
Well, and they build these dossiers. I mean, they do have quite literally actual files on these people like Carrie Gillum. What they do, they'll go through anything in this person's past. Have they ever been arrested? Have they had a DUI? Do they have speeding tickets? Did they say something crazy on social media one time in a tweet? And they put all that together in the file, and that becomes the hit piece for the Intelligence Fusion Center, is what they call it. And this is a real thing that Monsanto had. It exists, and its sole purpose is to take on anyone who tries to say that their product is dangerous.
How about this? They're now in bed with Bayer. Bayer, of course, are the people who brought us Factor 8. Factor 8. Now, Bayer, I could go on, we could do our own show on Bayer, but you add Bayer to Monsanto, and what I love about this is this new alliance is drilling up all of these ugly stories about Bayer, like the fact that their management came from the Auschwitz. He was a war criminal.
Yeah.
Okay. Fritz Termeer was a war criminal, and Bayer said, "Well, we want him to help him. We want him to lead the company." He's the guy at Auschwitz who developed cyclone gases that killed people by the millions. He's the guy that Bayer, to this day, still honors every year. They have a special program to honor Fritz Termeer. Now, that doesn't stop there. Bayer they're also the people who created Factor 8. Now, it was a medicine for hemophiliacs, and it was there to stop bleeding. What they didn't tell everybody is Bayer knew that it was infected with AIDS virus. And they took it off the market in the U.S., and they sold it all over the world. Thousands of people died because of it. So Monsanto and Bayer, brother, what a perfect match. Florida juries concluded that a controversial application of the Stand Your Ground law was invalid in the shooting of an unarmed black man outside of a grocery store in Clearwater, Florida. Legal journalist Molly Barrows joins me now to talk about the verdict. This is a case that got a lot of attention, and it should have, after the Zimmerman case where the Stand Your Ground actually succeeded. I mean, for all practical purposes. It was basically more of a self-defense more than just stand your ground. But Mark O'Mara, who's a dear friend of mine, tried that case, and he said his focus really was less stand your ground is in relationship. It was more just common law, self-defense kind of argument.
Right.
This is give me the facts. This is a crazy story.
I know, it's so interesting all the way around because this law is so open to loose interpretation, if you will. So the facts of this particular case, you have a convenience store, Tampa area. The man who was accused of manslaughter, the one who shot the victim, Michael Dridjka, he was angry because the victim's girlfriend had pulled into a handicapped parking space and she didn't have the proper identification to do that. So they got into a little bit of a verbal altercation. According to witness statements, he was giving her a hard time. She just went on walking. Well, and her boyfriend, Michael McLaughlin, was in the car and with their 5-year-old child, and he gets out and basically shoves the other guy, Dridjka, who falls to the ground, and surveillance video shows that he's starting to walk away, and Dridjka opens fire and kills him, and or he eventually dies. So basically, he said, I had to shoot. I was in fear for my life. I thought he was going to come back and stomp me and beat me, but the surveillance video clearly didn't show that. However, the Pinellas County Sheriff said didn't charge him because they said it was a proper application of stand your ground, and it wasn't until public pressure that the prosecutor came forward and charged him with manslaughter. I think it was a month later.
Okay, I think part of this has to do with the Dridjka. Okay, first of all, they couldn't call Dridjka to the stand because he was a Looney Tune.
Right.
Not that he was insane, but he was one of these.
He would pop off.
Yeah, he would pop off. This was not the first time he did this.
Correct.
He would go to stores and malls, and he would find people parked in handicapped.
Self-appointed policeman of handicapped spots.
So a real nutcase, and it was impossible to put him on the stand. So they didn't really have the pure self-defense case. But the truth is, he shot the guy as he was walking away.
That's right.
And I think what this does is this legislatively in Florida, I don't think anything's going to change. I don't think this is the kind of legislature in Florida that is progressive thinking enough to understand a jury heard your facts about your stand your ground. This guy had no reason to shoot. And the point being, he was such an oddball to begin with.
And he had a concealed weapons permit.
Yeah.
So it made it okay. That's part of the reason why I think he had the gun. But like you said, if you're really trying to apply stand your ground, this isn't the best guy to be defending in this particular case. So I think what's great about the fact that the jury came back and said that it wasn't applicable in this case, that he was found guilty of manslaughter, basically says that this law is so open to interpretation that it turns into the jury's job now to hold law enforcement accountable.
Yeah.
Did you actually do your job when you allowed this person to use this defense, or did you do your job by not allowing somebody to use it? it. And, you know, like I said, I think Florida was the first to pass a stand your ground law like this in 2005, but we already had castle doctrine type laws and other laws across the country that allow people to use self-defense. But what makes stand your ground different is that you don't have to retreat. If you feel like your life is in danger, or you're about to be imminently bodily harmed, or there's going to be the commission of some felony is imminent, I could just blow somebody away if I felt, oh, my life's in danger and I don't have to run. I don't have to retreat as a way to avoid the situation.
Yeah, the argument, I think, at some point was the man pushes him to the ground.
Right.
His argument, well, I thought the car was going to back over me, so I shot not the driver, but the non-driver, who, oh, by the way, was walking away. You know,
and was a black man, another unarmed black man.
With an all-white jury.
That's right.
Let me just add that. It was an all-white jury, the black man that was shot. Yeah. So I think when you start taking a look at these facts, even though these are kind of, we're like a tree falling in the forest.
Right.
Where it comes to talking about what the Florida legislature is going to do.
I know. It's disappointing.
They absolutely will do nothing, and we'll see more and more of these. But, you know, the killing of Trayvon Martin made the headlines back in 2012. Right. I don't know that this case, this policy has been tested enough. This is probably, in my way of thinking, one of the first of maybe 10 or 12 first serious tests of a stand your ground.
I think you're right, and I think it's going to take additional public pressure in individual cases like this to really bring it to people's attention to think critically about it. Yeah. Otherwise, people are just going to continue to use it as an excuse, I think, to justify murder.
Every nutbird in the world has a concealed weapon, and he shoots because he doesn't believe.
Ooh, I'm scared.
Yeah, doesn't believe that somebody ought to be able to park in a handicap. That was part of the case too.
Yes.
They showed that there was more malice in his mind than just simply the man retreating. It didn't have anything to do with man retreating. There was malice and anger in his mind when he shot, because in his head, this parking in a handicapped place was just
a big deal.
a big deal. Molly, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Pat.